Let's be honest, she never told you the truth, not the full truth. You think she left because it was just not meant to be, or maybe because you weren't enough. But what really happens when a woman realizes she's lost you, it cuts deeper than any fight, any argument, any misunderstanding could. Most men never see it coming. They think she moves on easily, that her feelings evaporate overnight. The reality? A part of her is haunted, restless, and yes, terrified, but she won't admit it to anyone, not even herself. When a woman loses a man she truly cared for, it's like the world tilts beneath her feet. You see, women feel in layers. There's the surface, the anger, the tears, the excuses, and beneath it, hidden like a secret chamber, is regret. The small, quiet regret that creeps in during the middle of the night when the world is silent and there's no one to witness the ache she carries. She starts replaying moments over and over. Every smile she missed, every conversation she didn't savor, every time she underestimated what you brought into her life. And it's not just nostalgia, it's a sharp, electric sting that reminds her she let something rare slip through her fingers. This isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a subtle, psychological storm. Women's emotions are deeply intertwined with perception and value. When she realizes she's lost you, she begins to measure everything in your absence. Your laughter, your presence, the little habits that once annoyed her suddenly feel like treasures she can't reach. That annoyance, that friction you once fought over, it suddenly turns into longing. And here's the catch. She doesn't want to look weak, doesn't want to admit that she's missing someone, but every action, every glance, every whisper of memory draws her back toward what she lost. Men often misunderstand this. They think the loss is only theirs to feel. But women internalize it differently. It's quiet, sometimes invisible, but it shapes behavior in ways that can be almost obsessive. She might try to move on, to distract herself, to convince herself that she's better off, but every happy moment is punctuated by flashes of what could have been. That's the paradox. Losing you doesn't free her. It chains her to moments that will never return. And deep down, she knows she made choices that can't be reversed. That realization is brutal. You might think she has already forgotten you, scrolling through life with ease, but the truth is often hidden behind a smile, a carefully curated social media post, a laugh that doesn't quite reach her eyes. When she talks about moving on, it's a mask. Her mind is a labyrinth of what-ifs and if-onlys, and every step she takes without you is a reminder that she can't go back. That's the power of loss, intense, raw, and completely invisible to anyone who isn't paying attention. The question every man should ask himself is this: do you recognize the value of someone before they walk away, or do you only see it when it's too late? Because here's the harsh truth. When a woman realizes she's lost you, she doesn't just feel sadness. She feels the gap you left, the emptiness you carried with you, and the undeniable knowledge that something rare, once gone, cannot be recreated. And the most dangerous part? That feeling can linger, grow, and eventually transform into a quiet, unspoken regret that changes her forever, long after you're gone. She won't always say it. She won't send a message that reads, "I miss you," or "I made a mistake." That's not how a woman's mind works when the weight of losing you hits. Instead, she reveals it in ways that are subtle, almost invisible, tiny cracks in the armor she's built around herself. A glance that lingers too long, a hesitation before she speaks, a smile that feels forced. Men often miss these signs because they're too focused on words, but her actions tell the story that her lips never will. You need to understand the psychology here. Women attach deep emotional value to connection, and when that connection is gone, it creates a void she can't ignore. She starts to notice the little things, your favorite coffee shop, a song you used to play, even the way someone looks like you. Every trigger reminds her of the life she left behind, and every memory becomes a subtle reminder that she lost something irreplaceable. She may act distracted or dismissive, but inside, there's a storm. Anxiety, longing, regret, they all swirl together, shaping behavior in ways that are almost instinctive. One of the most telling signs? She starts to compare everyone to you. Suddenly, the bar she once thought was normal for relationships feels inadequate. People who once seemed exciting now feel empty. It's not conscious, it's an automatic psychological response. Losing you rewires her perception. She measures new experiences against the standard you set, the laughter, the stability, the unique way you made her feel seen. And that realization hits harder than any argument could, because she's forced to face a simple truth. She made a choice that can't be undone, and nothing else can fill that space. Another thing men underestimate, the way loss awakens reflection. She starts replaying conversations, analyzing her own actions, and questioning why she didn't fight harder, why she didn't see your value sooner. It's not a temporary thought. This is deep processing that rewrites her emotional landscape. Every decision she makes after losing you is colored by what she lost. She might smile in public, act confident, even joke about moving on, but underneath, she's wrestling with the consequences of letting someone irreplaceable slip away. Here's the harshest part. She won't always confront this openly. Pride, fear of judgment, and societal pressure keep her silent. That's why most men never notice the shift. The missed calls, the unread messages, the distant glances, they're not because she's cold. They're because she's processing, often in private, the gravity of what she's lost. She's learning, painfully, that you weren't just another chapter. You were the standard, the benchmark, the kind of presence that leaves a void when it's gone. And here's what's truly fascinating and dangerous for a man. Her realization of loss can sometimes ignite a subtle, almost magnetic pull toward you. It's a quiet longing, not dramatic, not loud, but powerful. It can manifest in ways you won't see until you're paying close attention. A sudden interest in your life, reaching out indirectly, comparing her new experiences to memories of you. That's the invisible force of regret and longing combined. And the kicker? It only strengthens over time if you remain unattainable. Loss, for a woman, is never just an emotional event. It reshapes her mind, her perception, and her future choices. And the most crucial truth a man can understand is this. When she realizes she's lost you, she starts to see what she truly valued, often too late, and that realization can haunt her for years. She won't always admit it, she won't always act on it, but it becomes a permanent undercurrent in her psyche, quietly reminding her of the man she let go. Once she realizes she's lost you, the emotional impact isn't subtle. It's a cascade of feelings that hit her all at once, sometimes violently, sometimes quietly, but always profoundly. At first, there's disbelief. She tells herself, "It can't be this serious. He'll come back." That denial is natural. Humans resist acknowledging permanent loss, but for a woman, it's especially potent. Women live deeply in emotional contexts, and when the reality sets in, the shock can feel physical. Her chest tightens, her mind races, and every memory of you becomes a haunting echo. Then comes regret. And this is where most men misunderstand the intensity. It isn't just about missing what you did together, it's about the choices she made that led to your absence. She replays every argument, every moment she didn't appreciate you, every time she let pride or fear dictate her actions. The psychology here is fascinating. The mind seeks to identify the point of failure, the precise moment when things went wrong. That reflection can be almost obsessive, running quietly beneath her daily routines. She notices your absence in places she never expected. Your favorite cafe, a song on the radio, even a scent that reminds her of you. Anger often surfaces next, directed inward, not at you. She might act irritably or lash out, but it's rarely toward you directly. Instead, it's frustration at herself for letting someone so valuable slip away. That anger fuels self-reflection, but it can also blind her temporarily. Some men mistake her coldness or withdrawal as indifference. They don't see the storm raging inside, the awareness that she underestimated what she had until it was gone. Sadness follows, deep and pervasive. It's not fleeting, it's a heavy, persistent ache that colors her perception of daily life. She notices gaps in her routines that only you once filled. The humor in mundane moments feels dulled because the person she relied on to share laughter is gone. Even when she's surrounded by friends, a quiet loneliness lingers. That's why she may reach for distractions, new hobbies, outings, even new people, but nothing can fill the psychological space you occupy. Men often dismiss these coping mechanisms as moving on, but they're actually attempts to patch a void that will not be patched easily. Over time, longing intensifies. Unlike the initial emotional shock, longing is more structured, more reflective, more persistent. She thinks about you during idle moments, her mind tracing the contours of what she lost. She remembers the little things, the way you smiled, the way you made her feel safe, the way your presence transformed her ordinary days into meaningful ones. And with longing comes awareness. Awareness that she cannot recreate what she had, awareness that some losses are permanent, and awareness that the man she let go may never return, not because he doesn't care, but because he finally understood his value. This awareness changes behavior. She may test boundaries subtly, reach out indirectly, or behave in ways designed to measure if the space you once occupied is still present in her life. These are not manipulations. They're instinctive responses to the psychological reality of loss. She's measuring herself against the standard you set, seeing if she can ever recover what was lost. The deeper the realization of your absence, the more intense her inner reflection becomes. Here's the truth few men grasp. These emotional stages, denial, regret, anger, sadness, longing, don't just fade. They evolve, shape her personality, influence future relationships, and sometimes drive her to profound self-awareness. Losing you isn't a casual experience. It's a psychological earthquake that shifts her internal world, forcing her to confront truths she may never have faced while you were present. And the longer she spends in that realization, the more she begins to understand the depth of what she threw away, long after the moment itself has passed. She won't always come out and tell you what she feels. That's not how female psychology works when the weight of losing you hits. Instead, she begins to signal it in ways that are subtle, almost invisible, tiny behaviors that reveal her longing before she even admits it to herself. A glance that lingers too long, a laugh that feels slightly off, as if she's testing whether you notice her absence, a message that seems casual but carries undercurrents of memory. Men often overlook these cues because they're waiting for overt signs, for confessions, but she doesn't operate that way. When she starts to realize what she's lost, her mind constantly measures the gap you left behind. She notices patterns she didn't before, how she feels in your absence compared to other connections. Other men, other relationships, other moments, they suddenly feel shallow, incomplete, insufficient. Her perception shifts, and this shift shows subtly in her behavior. She's quieter, more attentive, sometimes almost nostalgic. You might catch her reminiscing or dropping references to shared memories. These aren't accidents. They're her subconscious way of trying to gauge if the connection is still alive, even when you're not in the room. Another powerful signal? She starts testing herself. She asks questions indirectly. She drops hints to see if you still respond the way you once did. It's not manipulative in the malicious sense. It's the mind of someone trying to reconcile the void. She's trying to see if the emotional bridge she lost is still intact, if the foundation she once took for granted still exists, even if only partially. And make no mistake, these tests are deliberate, instinctive, and deeply psychological. Women rarely make emotional moves without thought, even when the thought happens below conscious awareness. Then comes the paradoxical pull. She might appear distant, cold, or even uninterested at times, but every withdrawal, every moment she pulls back, is matched by an internal tug toward you. The loss awakens a gravity she cannot escape, a constant, quiet reminder of what she once had and cannot recover. She measures every interaction against the standards you set. She judges new experiences, other relationships, and even her own decisions against the benchmark you created in her life. That is why you may notice subtle shifts. A lingering smile, a sudden curiosity about your life, even small, seemingly innocent messages that are loaded with unspoken meaning. Here's what most men fail to grasp. She doesn't need to tell you she misses you for it to be true. Every nuanced glance, every fleeting hesitation, every indirect test is her mind screaming, "I realize what I lost." Her psychology is wired to measure, compare, and reflect. And in the absence of closure, she channels that emotional energy in subtle ways. She may seem composed on the surface, but internally, she's running calculations, evaluating how the loss changed her, and imagining what could have been. And finally, she starts to transform. The realization of your absence forces growth, self-awareness, and reflection. She notices patterns in herself she ignored before. She questions past behaviors, her judgments, and the priorities that led her to lose you. This is where many men misunderstand female psychology entirely. Loss doesn't always push her away. It can pull her closer in subtle ways, through reflection, longing, and the quiet urge to reconnect. The signals are all there, but only if you understand how to read them. When you grasp this, you begin to see a deeper truth. Losing you doesn't just affect her heart. It reshapes her mind, her behaviors, and her perceptions. It's a quiet, relentless process that unfolds beneath the surface, often invisible to everyone except the one she lost. And that realization, the subtle dance between longing and reflection, is where the power of loss truly resides. Once she fully realizes she's lost you, nothing ever looks the same. Her world shifts in ways that are subtle yet profound, and every future choice is colored by the memory of what she let slip through her fingers. You see, women don't just forget, they integrate loss into their psyche, creating a benchmark that affects every relationship, every attraction, every decision that comes afterward. And the truth most men miss? This isn't temporary. It becomes a permanent lens through which she sees love, loyalty, and value. Suddenly, her standards are rewritten. The way you made her feel, the emotional security, the attention, the depth of connection, becomes the quiet, unspoken measure against which all others are compared. Casual flings, shallow relationships, even well-intentioned admirers feel empty. She may act like she's moving on, pursuing new experiences, or exploring other options. But in her mind, the equation is simple. Nothing measures up. And every time she notices this gap, the memory of you sharpens, searing into her consciousness like a lesson she can't ignore. This awareness shapes her behavior. She may become more guarded, more cautious, or even unexpectedly vulnerable in ways she never allowed before. The paradox is striking. Losing you both strengthens and softens her. It strengthens her awareness of what she deserves, what she values, and what she cannot compromise on. It softens her emotional defenses because she now knows the sting of loss, an experience she doesn't want to repeat. Men often interpret this as aloofness or disinterest, but in reality, it's the echo of your absence resonating through every interaction. Her longing manifests in subtle ways. She might check in indirectly, linger in memories, or draw comparisons that remind her of the depth you brought into her life. Every action, even the seemingly casual, carries an undercurrent of reflection. Could I have done more? Did I truly appreciate him? Will I ever feel this way again? These questions don't fade, they evolve, quietly shaping her perspective on love and intimacy. And while she may never vocalize them, they influence her choices, her attachments, and the energy she invests in others. Then comes a quiet, almost invisible transformation. She becomes more selective, more deliberate in her interactions because the loss made her conscious of the value of a meaningful connection. She may pursue personal growth, strengthen her emotional intelligence, and reevaluate her priorities, not just in relationships, but in life. This shift isn't always visible to you, but it's profound. It's the kind of evolution that only comes from truly understanding the weight of what's gone. And here's the truth that cuts deepest. Even if she never returns, she carries the imprint of your presence forever. She measures her choices, her desires, and her emotional investments against the experience of losing you. It shapes her identity, her expectations, and her capacity for connection. Losing you becomes a psychological milestone, a silent teacher that leaves lessons she can't unlearn. And somewhere deep inside, a part of her quietly acknowledges what she lost was rare, unique, and irreplaceable. And that realization never fully fades. So every man should consider this. The way a woman experiences loss is intense, deeply personal, and transformative. And if you recognize the signs, understand the psychology, and see the subtle shifts in behavior, you gain insight not just into her emotions, but into the profound impact you had on her life, long after the moment itself has passed. Losing you changes her in ways she may never admit out loud. It's not about petty revenge or fleeting anger. It's about the profound realization that something irreplaceable is gone. Every thought, every action, every choice she makes after that moment is influenced by the awareness of your absence. She measures the world against the standard you set, the laughter, the understanding, the presence she once took for granted. And here's the harsh truth. No one else will ever fill that gap quite like you did. What's fascinating, and sometimes heartbreaking, is how deeply loss embeds itself in her mind. She begins to reflect, overthink, and analyze with precision that borders on obsessive. The smallest triggers, a song, a smell, a passing comment, can transport her back to moments she wished she'd appreciated more. And while she may present herself as composed, confident, or even indifferent, the emotional undertow is relentless. She feels the void, the what could have been, and the haunting reality that she cannot turn back time. This realization reshapes her entirely. Her priorities change. Her perception of love, loyalty, and respect becomes sharper, more discerning. She understands, often painfully, what truly mattered, and somewhere beneath the surface, a quiet longing persists, a reminder of the connection she let slip away. Men often dismiss this as moving on or getting over it, but in reality, it's far deeper. It's a psychological transformation, a permanent marker of the man she lost and the lessons he unknowingly taught her. And here's the part that hits hardest. She carries this knowledge forward. She approaches relationships differently, measures potential partners against an invisible standard, and often feels a lingering comparison she cannot shake. That's the invisible power of loss. It rewires her mind, sharpens her emotional intelligence, and etches your memory into the blueprint of her choices. Even years later, she may not reach out, may never express the truth, but the impact of losing you remains an unspoken guide in her life. So, what does this mean for you as a man? It means that your value isn't always recognized while you're present, but it is felt profoundly once it's gone. The awareness of your absence changes her, awakens reflection, and reshapes her emotional patterns in ways few men ever witness. She may never admit it, but the truth is written in the quiet corners of her mind. Losing you was a turning point she can't forget. Now here's a challenge for you, something to think about deeply. If your presence in someone's life is equivalent to the sum of your loyalty, attention, and love, how much would it take for her to truly understand she lost you? Pause, reflect, calculate, write your answer in the comments below. And remember, this isn't just a video, it's a lesson. Like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this, because understanding these truths can change the way you see relationships, value, and connection forever.